welcome back to our second edition of Off-Campus WHTV.
Are you going to introduce me?
Oh, yeah. Everybody, this is my sister. D-Rob told me I had to do desk this week and practicing good social distancing. I got my sister to help me out.
Hey, guys.
Anyways, we're not in the studio. As you can see, we're in our house.
Yeah, we've been in our house for 2 weeks now. Alyssa, we should totally go for a walk or something.
Oh, yeah. Maybe go to the wall, watch the kids winter surfing.
Winter surfing? Who does that?
Well, Noah just did a story on it. Let's watch it.
The seacoast of New Hampshire only runs for 13 miles, but in that distance lies many spots for surfers to surf. And when the waters get cold, many think no one would dare to surf. But they would be wrong. There is a smaller group of Winnicott students who surf during the winter, and I thought I would catch up with them.
I've been surfing since I was like 3, but I've probably been winter surfing since I could like ride a shortboard. So like I would say around like 7 or I don't know, like 5 or 7 years old is when I started winter surfing. I surf during the winter because the waves are a lot better in the winter and we get more swells from like nor'easters and storms, so the waves are a lot bigger and better.
I think the first winter I started surfing was in 5th grade. I've been doing it ever since, and I guess I choose to surf in the winter because the waves are good and it's a fun thing to do.
Now that we know a little about the students' hobbies, I thought we would find out a little more about the pros and cons of surfing during the winter.
So, the pros of surfing in the winter are the waves are usually a lot better and you get better waves more often because of like the swells and stuff. And it's also less crowded, so there's way more like parking spots. There's not a bunch of like people that aren't like as good at surfing like getting in your way. The cons are that it's freezing cold and you have to wear like a huge like thick wetsuit and like boots and gloves. And it's also like not as many of like your friends like are there, I guess, like because they don't surf in the winter.
It's just really cold. You just freeze when you're out there sometimes.
I thought to ask if there is anything a student should know if they choose to venture out into the ocean for some waves during the winter.
There's some hardcore people that I've run into recently. Gotten yelled at a couple times, definitely. More so in the winter than the summer, but there's also a lot of really nice people. And if you get to talking to them, it normally ends up in a nice conversation.
Yeah, like most of the people live around here, so they all like, you usually know most of the people that are out there, but you know, there's always some people that are like a little too serious and like really like protect their waves. But if you like talk to them, they're all like local people that like live and work around here, so they're all super nice usually.
Finally, I thought to see how surfing affects their dating life.
I know it helps Gavin a lot out. He gets helped out with that.
I don't know about that, but okay. I would say that it can because, you know, they like the look, they like the style of surfers. You know, they like that type of style, and there's always girls at the beach, so you know, they're always watching you. Do you agree?
With there only being a few winter surfers in the school, the Shredders wish more Winnicott students would surf. So we expect to see you out there. Until next time, suit up, paddle out, and catch a few. For WHV, this is Noah, out.
That was cool, but I think it's a little too cold for me.
Yeah, and we have a lot of work to do.
True, online school is definitely an experience.
Yeah, and we're only 2 weeks in, and it's a bit more work than I was expecting. A survey was sent out to teachers and staff in the SAU last Friday to gauge how remote learning was working in the SAU. While students are averaging 2.5 to 4 hours of work every day, teachers are averaging about 10. 40% of students thought the workload was fine, while 57% thought the workload was too much.
Wow, teachers are spending way more time on this than I thought.
Yeah, I guess I should make sure I don't get behind, especially in physics. Still gotta take the AP exam.
All statewide standardized testing, including the school day SAT and the science assessment, have been canceled. AP tests, however, will continue. The College Board has decided that AP tests will now take place at home, online, and last for 45 minutes. The test will only cover material teachers should have covered by March, and there will be 2 dates to take the test.
I wish it was vacation again so I didn't have to stress about all this.
Yeah, I feel that.
Remember February break before all this? I was in Italy, having a good time. The kids in Costa Rica were there, having a good time. Josie and Julia just did a story about that trip.
Yeah, and Costa Rica's so pretty. Let's roll it.
Over February break, a group of 14 students traveled to Costa Rica for 10 days. Accompanied by Mrs. Nolmeyer and Mrs. Edgar, the students traveled all around different parts of the country. The students were able to experience the different culture as individuals by staying with host families and going on excursions throughout the trip. We talked to some students that went on the trip to see how it impacted them.
My favorite part was the boat ride across the Gulf. That was really pretty. And then we went on a hike there, and it was like very intense. A lot of people were slipping. It was really fun.
We went to a farm and we learned how to make tortillas out of scratch.
We got to like go in the town, walk around, go swimming a lot.
We went horseback riding. We taught some English in some of the elementary schools.
I had a good time at my family. I stayed with an older couple. They were grandparents, so I hung out with their grandson, and he was 12, so that was really fun. I got to talk about what school was like, the differences is his school versus our school.
I loved my host family. I had a boy who's a senior and a girl who's a sophomore, so we're close in age, so we got to talk about and we could communicate very well about their school life, my school life. It was also really nice to see their culture and their way of life. Everything there is a lot more simple and slow paced. The days went by really slow, but you could get a lot done. So it was really cool to see the different pace of life, because here it's so fast, you got to get this done, that done.
On the trip, we kept being told to stay in the moment and stop thinking about what was next. And here, I'm always planning ahead. So I learned how to live in the moment and not talk and think about what was coming next.
The trip has been going on since 2013, and they go every other year. It is a great way for students to practice their Spanish and interact with real Spanish speakers. The students were not allowed to bring their phones as a way to detach and be fully immersed in the culture. We sat down with Mrs. Edgar to gain more information about the trip.
Regardless of your level of Spanish, I think it's beneficial to immerse yourself in a culture, to be humbled by not being able to communicate very well, and to constantly be stepping outside of your comfort zone, because you're living with a family, very different circumstances to what we have here, environmentally, and just the heat. It went really well. We all made it back. We had no health issues, and we were able to swim 4 days. The students met elementary school students, high school students. They rode horseback to a school. We crossed the Gulf by boat, and we saw an eco lodge and learned all about sustainability, and plus we ate amazing food. It was really successful.
All of the kids who went on the trip this year had a great time, and if you are thinking about going on the next one, talk with Mrs. Edgar or Mrs. Nolmeyer for more information.
So I think that wraps our episode.
Yeah, one last thing. Our credit music is the chamber singers singing Fields of Gold. The catch is all parts were sung at home and sent to Mr. Moore, who used an editing program to make it sound like they sung it all together.
Whoa, that's so cool.
I know. And with that, see you soon, Winnicott.
Stay home and don't forget to wash those hands. That was cool, but I think it's a little too cold for me.
Yeah, and we do. We're only 1 week in, and that was. Wait, we're 2 weeks in. Big yawns.
The test will only cover material teachers should have covered by March, and there will be 2 days to take the test. I'm getting so mad.